Tyll Show. Come on, everybody. It's Ed Tyll. Yeah.
Oh, man. Are you ready for a great show today? I am. I am in such it's a Friday, and it feels like Friday, and it's the middle of the summer Friday, and there are symptoms of Friday in a lot of places. Dr. Ed on the diagnosis earlier today. The the great Rob, Conversations with Rob. He's a host on YouTube. He's a faithful listener of ours, kind of a newish caller, but I believe a long-time listener. I believe he's been listening since we were on in Orlando, which, that's a fond memory for us. We love that. And had another great dialogue with more of the folks from Delaware 1059 listening audience earlier this week. Thank you for being in touch. Look, it's a crazy world business. It's a show business, right? It's not just a show. It's show business. And it gets crazy. And everybody's got multiple things to balance. We all do. But I have to say, any excuse at all to interact with Dan Gaffney, who was at the Seaford Diner this morning, like he's always out there on Friday morning with Breakfast with Dan. Puts on the coffee. He's there when they open the diner at 5:30. He's ready to go. He's ready for you. I could go on and on about this guy. He knows everything about everybody in town. And if you keep drawing circles around Lewis and Delmarva, it's going to be hard for you to avoid. And this is what makes him so valuable. It's crazy to me that you don't see more of Dan all over the country. Maybe you will now that the new people are in. Congratulations to them. But I have to say, the vibe, the whole first thing in the morning being out there for breakfast, this is what I love about him. I have done mornings in my life. I have done the shift. I've gone on, not as early as Dan. My stint in mornings was a 6 to 10 old school back in the 80s. And, you get up at 3:30. You're in the shower. The whole world is getting up to go to the bathroom, going back to sleep. They look at the time that you wake up, and they go, oh, my God, it's the middle of the night. I have so many more hours to enjoy on that warm pillow, and not Mr. Gaffney. And I thought, I was having just thoughts about him all week. Like, first things, some little idea came to my mind. Heard from some more Delaware 1059 listeners, and I send love back. I have nothing but love for Dan. And even Mike Gallagher, who I know very well. Mike is a great guy. He's a very talented host. I realize he's in the Ed Tyll slot. That's not true. Come on, let's go easy. Mr. Possessive on Friday. So it's not yours, it's theirs, their slot, it's their station. Well, I would love to be back, of course. Somebody said, so I would do anything to get back on that. I said to Dan, I would do a show just for Delaware to be back with Rob and Dan and the crowd. Kathy from Lewis. Come on, what's my life like now? Bonnie. I have breakfast. You should say, I have an empty chair for Bonnie. In the morning when I have breakfast, I put out a chair. I put a place setting down for Bonnie. And I always think, Bonnie's husband, would he be dropping her off for this, sitting in the car reading the paper? Does he want to come in? He could sit in the living room, watch a little tube. Bonnie and I have a little cup of tea. The birds come out. The trees. She would love this. All my gals from Delaware would love a visit to the Ed Tyll Radio Network studio. This would be right up your alley. We sit in front of the lake. The fountain is going. All the first you have the white ducks come, the little, traditional. Then you have these other kind of ducks. I don't know what they are. They're off color a bit, but lovely. I don't think. I think they're fully documented. I don't know. But the, ducks have a thing. They put a tag on your duck. Yeah, that's got to be a fun experience, right? Yeah, getting your duck tagged. But they do. They tag your duck. They have to count them. They have to know what the duck population is. Yeah. Unlike other things in the news, you're not allowed to count. You can actually count the ducks. Nobody objects on behalf of the duck. No duck advocacy group. Whatever. I could just see us all. We're sitting around. Kathy's doing a little knitting. She's got the kids on the phone. Behave yourself. I'm with Ed Tyll. And Bonnie. You know what I mean, Ed? You know what I mean? And I would know what I always knew I always still know what she means. We haven't spoken even, although she's liked me and friended me on Facebook. So I did. Now, you realize everybody who listens to me says the same thing. They've been saying this for a while. It's kind of weird with you on the Facebook, Ed. Oh, you really? Yeah, well, sometimes you do, then you don't, then you do it a lot, then you stop, then you do the Facebook page, then you do your profile, then you do your friends, then you do the timeline. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. They go, that's the whole point. We know that. So we're trying to tell you. You don't know how to do it. And I go, okay. I'm sorry. What happened now? Oh, I guess that would be my fault. Is that my mistake? Hay un error aquí bastante grande en la frase del Eduardo? De Eduardo? You're not the Edward. You're just Edward. So Rob said he might call in about the debate. Rob, if you're there, you could jump in on the debate right now. I'm happy talking about the debate with you. I put out a Facebook post about everything under the sun that I love to do on Friday. Everything's out there. How close are you to figure? There's a guy. I should get him on. You are it's Friday in your studio, man. It is. Speaking of Greta Van Fleet, does anybody even know what that is? Rob should know. Young Rob, Conversations with Rob, he should know who that is. He may not. Because the world is very crazy today. There's no universal experience for young people. Once upon a time, when Led Zeppelin came out, I didn't say everybody has to love it, but everybody, you couldn't avoid it. How are you? Uh-huh. Oh, good. Okay. I have to make sure with you guys. How's the other one doing? Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I got all these thumbs up here before. I didn't see any digits. There were no digits backing up a thumbs up. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, that tells me a lot with you guys. So anyway, Rob is a young listener. I love this guy. He's got tickets now to go to the next debate. There is a debate coming up, right? Another, now this is every 4 or 5 weeks you're going to have a debate now. And Julian Castro, he's one to watch, isn't he? But I mean, he's a kid. He reminds me of there's two of them. Well, Gillibrand sounds young, right? If you couldn't see her on TV, I get this a lot. Edward Tyll always guessed younger by a lot by listening to you only. Voice only, Gillibrand, whoa. Somebody's holding a cup full of, you got to have a lot of courage, man, to hold a cup of coffee with no lid after what happened in here less than 48 hours ago. There was a major problem in here. Plant maintenance was involved, the whole crew, and you have a lot of, courage or you're dumb. They used to say that. Is he courageous or is he an idiot? Is he oblivious? Or as Julian Castro said, Rob Nobrega, Conversations with Rob, I know wanted to talk about this. I I take all requests. You know, in music radio, they used to make a big deal out of the request line. I do talk radio requests. People keep asking me, so what is your show like? I go, I am one of the few left in America. I'm a generalist. I'm like an MD. I do it all, baby. Gunshot wounds, put the eyeball back in for you, sew on your toe, bring you back to life, stabilize your spine, tourniquet the bleeding. You are in good hands with me. I've been I've been working on this stuff literally for 40, it's going to be 45 years. I'm uncomfortable saying the number, but on the other hand, I'm like, you better say it. You better say it. No one's going to believe you unless you say it because you sound young. Oh, is that him? Is he calling? I bet he's calling right now. He probably heard me talking about it. All right, I think I got him. But I got to turn him up here, find out. Whoop, hold on. The wrong one. Let's see. I got him? Hold on. Don't get panicked in there. Just relax. If I have him, I got him. I think I got him. Hold on. Is he there?
Hello, Ed.
There, I knew it. See? I told you. We got him. And they're in there looking at me like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Ed doesn't understand Skype. They do. They mock me. Do you know I get mocked all the time now? It's not even considered mocking. They just, we had a computer monitor come in the other day for the wall, and I said, where's the VGA? And they laughed at me. They go, how old are you? They go, nobody's a VGA anymore. It's an HDMI. I said, you shut up. I told them to shut up. I don't appreciate that kind of language. Anyway, congratulations to you. You're going to the next big debate.
Yeah, it's a tough crowd, I guess you're dealing with. But yeah, down in Texas and Houston. So looking forward to that. Definitely give you some updates on that, some sound when we get there. So we're getting excited for that. I also got in contact with the campaign for the Sanders campaign. I cold emailed them, told them, what I've done in politics and stuff. So hopefully
I got to break in. I got to break in right away. You mentioned the Sanders campaign. You in contact with them?
Yes.
Yes. Now, can I just say something right now? I want to
say. Go ahead.
I want to say it on the record because this is something that happened to me recently, and I better say it now so I don't have a nervous breakdown. You don't want me to have a nervous breakdown, do you?
No. Please.
Oh, exactly. And let me say, it's 14 past the hour. We're going into a break quickly here. Yes, we have to take a break. The Ed Tyll Show on edtyll.com. All right, so the stations are broken away. That's all they need is a cue. Now, here's the thing I have to say for everybody listening online who's not in a commercial right now. You get to hear this. I will continue on when we're back. I'll catch them up. But this is what's happening right now. You are talking. I can't believe this. You are talking to the Sanders campaign. So about 6 months ago, I walk in to my regular radio show at a radio station that I love dearly, close to my heart. I'm working with a colleague of mine, goes all the way back 30 years with me, love this guy. Working with a young fella just like you, love this guy. We're like unstoppable. We're like the Daily Planet, working with Clark Kent and Perry White. We're unstoppable. We're really incredible. Except he walks in one day, like you, and he says, I'm going to go cover this politician. That's interesting. But, they want me for more than just the coverage. I said, I don't know. They asked me if after I do the interview and the news coverage, if I had a moment to meet with them. I said, what do you mean? That's great. I said, boy, you're probably going to get insights now into bigger newsmakers. You are stepping up, baby. You are rocking it. Oh, yeah, high five. Boom, boom, boom. All over the newsroom. Oh, it's great. The old guy loves it. Sussman, the young guy, loves it. Dan, everybody's high-fiving. Susan Monday, we're dancing, the Mexican hat dance in there, baby. All documented. We're doing the documented Mexican hat dance. So What does he come back from the meeting and say? You guess. I want you to give me the plot line. What did he come back from that meeting and say? Why would I be bringing this up all these months later? He came back from the meeting and he said, Ed, you'll never guess what happened at that meeting.
They wanted him to volunteer.
Worse, they hired him away. They gave him more money. He left. He left the job. He was gone.
I know who you're talking about
I'm not gonna say anybody.
You
know what?
Name,
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I love the kid. Always will love him. Reminds me of you a lot. Not in all ways. You're opposite in your sound, but you got the same innards. You're very curious, you go get it, you find out for yourself, you get on the social media, you tell them, you got all so I know what's going to happen now next week. Ed, listen, I won't be calling in anymore. I'm working for Bernie. So if I swear to you, if you leave me and go to a campaign, if that happens to me twice in 1 year, you guys are going to hurt me. You young fellas are going to accidentally knock over Grandpa on the way to fortune and fame, okay?
Well, good news I definitely know you're talking about. We won't say the name on the radio, but I know and I remember that. I thought as long as you weren't talking about Crazy Ricky, that we were good.
I'll tell you what, he's another one. We almost lost Rick. We're coming back from the break.
Come on, everybody, Ed Tyll.
There's all these songs. Ed Tyll songs. The Ed Tyll musical cameo. Every song says the same thing. You're not going to like what he says. Yeah, somebody said to me the other day, they go, why does nobody like what you say? I said, well, have you heard the show? He goes, not yet. I said, well, you have to listen. He said, but you seem like a very reasonable, I can't see how people would. I said, I feel the same way. I felt the same way for 45 years on the air. I can't believe they don't. So anyway, congratulations. You're going to cover a debate. And this is the first time you've gone to where you're going to be swarmed by the professional media, or you've been with these sharks before? How do you like it on the when you're walking around trying to get the microphone, trying to get the interviews? I did all this in 1982, but what do you like about that? Well, how do you work it? Are you aggressive? Do you shout out if you see a candidate and you're like, conversations with Rob, YouTube? Bernie, I just want to ask, are you that guy, or are you gonna? What's it like for you? I want to know what your experience is going to be.
I think if I started yelling conversations with Rob at people, I think they'd probably try to arrest me and put me in the mental institution.
Oh, come on. What kind of confidence is that? That's no good. What are you talking about? You got to say it like it's a big show. You have to say it like that guy. Who was the guy on the movies who always had those shows, the guy in the wheelchair? Who's that guy on the movie show who yelled at everybody with the beard in the movies? Oh, come on. The show's been on for 100 years. He brings out Clint Eastwood, the biggest names, and he sits there, and every question he makes it like it's the biggest ambush question. Who am I? James Lipton. You don't know James Lipton?
I don't.
Oh, you better Google him. The audience is laughing their ass off now.
That must be a millennial thing.
It must be a what do you call it? Gen X thing, Grandpa. Grandpa Ed's a Gen. I'm not even Gen X. I'm the tail. What am I? I'm the what do you call that? The vapor trail of the boom. Yeah. Vapor trail. I came at the 11 years after the boom. My parents finally had sex. My parents had to wait 11 years to be sure. My mom was like, I'm not sure. My dad's like, come on, the baby boom's on for 3 years. No, we should wait. But who did not go to Vietnam by 18 months? 18 months. And again, I'm not saying I wouldn't go. I would hope I would have been vicious. I hope I would have been Bayonet Ed all the way. But what are you going to do? I watched television. They got rid of it, and I immediately signed up with a rock band. As soon as they canceled the draft, I immediately tried out for a rock band.
And I got to tell you, speaking about rock bands, I love those songs. I know you said during the break that every song is Ed Tyll. I'll tell you what, they got a nice beat. even if the songs are somewhat repetitive. I love the songs, and it's better than some of the junk that they play on some of the other stations I listen to.
I'm going to agree. It's going to sound self-serving, but I'm going to agree with you because why? They're original. They were all made with good intentions for love of the show. So whatever is said about them, all is beautiful because they come from. Now, I don't know if you know this, but for people who may, we have listeners. I keep saying we have guys listening 32 years, listens all the time. 32 years of me in your ear, right? And he loves the show, loves the show. 32 years. So he knows this. One day in Atlanta, a guy had been visiting from South Africa. He had been in town doing business in Atlanta, but he found me day one. So he listened religiously every day during his business. I think it was 21 days. So 15 business days. He's got me blasting on this job that he's doing. He's like a specialist in some high-tech thing in some building in Atlanta. So as he's leaving town, he's got to fly back to South Africa. Right? As he's leaving town, he comes to the radio station. He goes to the front desk with the cassette, and he says, "You tell that guy, Ed Tyll, he's driving me nuts. I want to strangle him. I would like to set him on fire. Then the next hour, I want to kiss him. I want to tell him he's a great guy. Say, this guy is insane. I'm going back to South Africa. I wrote a song about him. I'm going to leave." Wow. Yeah. So that's the one. I'll play it right now because I still play it. It's done on, what do you call the thing that, years ago, which made music artificially? Keyboard, a Casio keyboard. Yeah. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Right. You can put it in a kid's stocking stuffer, right? You can put that in a kid's, right. It's a toy. And he did the song, and then he recorded his voice. And all of these lyrics he came up with himself. You may not like what he says, but he'll say it anyway. And all the even, do you know, to this day, I don't know all the words. To this day, this song is 1987. Yeah. So now every song that has come since then is an artist's treatment of the original song, except for two people who just went off on their own and wrote their own great lyrics.
Right. No, like I said, I really enjoy the songs, and it's better than a lot of the junk. Some people will play the same kind of stupid, silly songs, and it's just nonsense. But hey, Ed, we'll get to the debate, but I want to talk to this about, this came out yesterday, and I'm sure you heard about this, and I know you're a Reagan man.
I am. What did you think horrible. I think he was pandering. I think, you know something, I don't want to say I've done this, because I haven't done it. I can't go that. I would love to bail out Reagan and go, you know what, I've never done anything. I couldn't do it. But I know I've been standing next to people. This is the word, pander to the word. I've been standing next to people who unexpectedly, like my friends, maybe even a date over the years, who will say something agreeing with the most horrible thing of some kind of celebrity. And I will look at, my head will crank, and then, you don't say anything at the moment, and then you walk away and you go, what was that all about? You don't believe in blah, 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 whatever, whether it sounds racist, whether it sounds sexist, whether it sounds disgusting, whether it sounds, mean-spirited. Oh, so I will tell you that. I have witnessed this kind of thing. Reagan used the word, I guess Nixon is complaining that the UN people are showing up and are causing a problem for Nixon. It's a Taiwan vote. The Taiwan vote, Nixon wants it to go a certain way, and these African countries, so it's going to be trouble now, the Africans are giving Nixon a hard time. So Reagan is on the phone consoling Nixon, and he says, these, and I'm not going to get caught saying it because somebody's going to record me, and they're going to go, see, yeah, I'm not, you know what, I wasn't born yesterday. It may look that way. I have great skin, but no, I wasn't, I'm not saying it. I'm not even going to say it to refer. That's how they get you. You get on the fake face then. You know about fake face, right?
Yeah,
you don't want that. You don't want that.
say
You got to watch all of your syllables now. You got to stay away from root words of bad words so they can't put you in the fake face and get half the word. That's what they do. They get your consonant off of one time you said a word. Then they get the vowel off of the bad word that's not really bad, but it's a root word of a good word. But they put
they can splice it too, Ed, and not even just that. If you go on YouTube, you can see like Trump or Barack Obama, and they splice the words together of them singing songs and stuff. So they could do all kinds of stuff, like you said.
That's it. They did. So you have to think now, right? When I'm talking to you right now, I'm in front of the camera also. I'm handing people all of these sample syllables. This is how Ed Tyll says that. And I say a lot of outrageous things, right, as examples. So all you have to do is take something that I sound very sincerely saying, even though it's sarcasm, and run with it. Yeah, no, it's horrible. The whole thing. We were scared to death at 14 about 1984. We read 1984. We were barely pubescent, and we were scared to death already. Now I'm over 60, and it's like, oh, they robbed this bank. Oh, this Fort Knox is empty. We're like what came out yesterday about total surveillance? Somebody, again, is doing total surveillance. Oh, sure, the incognito browser, which I never believed they were going to let you have privacy. It's been measuring you and tracking you anyway. Everything that says, would you like to be tracked? Would you like notifications? And you go, no. They go, ha, ha, ha. They do it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. In 1984 is here, especially like you said with the surveillance. I mean, you looked at what happened, and this goes to the first debate in July with Tulsi Gabbard. She just sued Google a couple days back. She was on Tucker Carlson on Fox News a couple nights back.
Right.
And she was talking about how she had Google ads that were coming out after the debate. And remember, she was the most searched candidate after that debate, and actually this debate, too, the second debate. And she was the most searched candidate. Those ads were out there for a reason. They shut down her Google account for 6 hours, so nobody saw the ads. And then they put it back up. People are already to bed by the time they put it back up. So she could have lost some money or people visiting her website donating.
Why?
And that's why she.
Yeah, why did they take it down? What did they accuse her of that was false accusation? What
they didn't accuse her of anything. They said that there was too much activity on her ads, and they thought it was some kind of scam. Come on, this is a politician.
Yeah, that's this is, you know what? This is a great point. I am so glad you brought this up. I'm going to know more about this on Monday. This is exactly what I went through earlier today. Is identical. And 2 weeks ago, to the day, I spent 5 hours on what you just pointed out. Watch what I'm about to say. They're magicians, Google. They can do anything. They know everything. They got every apparatus in the virtual data movement, identification, target, voice, words, pictures, faces. It's insane how nimble and how many resources they have. Okay. Then, have you ever tried to make an adjustment on Google to for your own purpose? Okay, I spent literally, I am not lying to you, 4.5 hours trying to get a Wi-Fi camera to connect to YouTube Live. Okay? So
Crazy.
they're lying, and we know it. Everybody's in tech. The first thing they know, here's why do people lie? You go, geez, everybody's not dishonest. You always say that to me. Ed, everybody's not horrible. Right. But you have to be prepared with every single person that they would be horrible, and then you can reverse engineer if they're not. That's easy. You love to be disappointed and people are not horrible, but you have to be prepared. So when you want technology to serve you, they could care less. The whole revolution was it was going to make your life better. If they want stuff off of you, they will take it whether you give it to them or not. That is you know what? Monday I'm doing this topic because I spent 4.5 hours doing something should be 1, 2, 3, skip
Right.
to my loo. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Ed, this is not just about Tulsi Gabbard, and I know a lot of your listeners probably aren't huge fans of her. She's a progressive.
Well, you have to say, wait, you know what? I will. Let me get in on this, and you tell me what you think of her. But I'm going to give you the. Maybe you didn't hear me the other day. Did you caught some of Dr. Frida? Because I saw you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Frida and I finally got to Tulsi later, but earlier in that show. Before Dr. Frida came on, if you go about a half an hour earlier into that show, Tulsi Gabbard looks just like my dentist, who is super hot. You have no idea how smoking hot I said on the air, this is awkward for me. All of my life, it never even occurred to me. Look how sexist pig, disgusting Me Too dirtbag I am. It's never even occurred to me that the dentist could. So I have this thing with my dentist, and then the other night, Tulsi wore all white. Yeah, like my dentist. She wore the same outfit on TV.
Yeah, with the guy.
Yeah. So I went insane and started focusing on her, but I don't have any idea what she stands for. I know this. She shouldn't speak in the Hawaiian language. If you're going to say Hawaii, you should not say Mahaloha, Hawaii. Don't speak like if you want to get elected. Say Hawaii. Everybody knows the state is Hawaii. It's a Hawaii or whatever she says, or Mauna Loa, Haloka. What is it? Maloki. There's a thing you say. Barack Obama too. Do you know I had his dental assistant on from Hawaii?
No,
I've had his dental assistant said he was very aloof. Even then, he wanted to wear his ear pods and not talk to them. She used to go, everybody else who came in for a cleaning, we had a nice chat. She goes with a young Barry. She goes, he was very polite, but he never took the earbuds out. Like he didn't want to, he just wanted to be, put the apron on and take the apron off. He'd jump out of the chair, smile, but had no... Wow, even then, you did no connection, yeah.
But first of all, I'll touch on two things. To go to what you said about Tulsi Gabbard, I'd rather have her speak Hawaiian than Beto O'Rourke and Cory Booker go back and forth in Spanish. No thanks.
You brought it up, Phil. I'm so glad. I'm glad you still bring him up. Nobody brings up Beto O'Rourke. I don't know how irrelevant this guy could be. I personally think he's got no shot, but let's keep him around because he's got a touch of the Rain Man, doesn't he? He does.
Could you see him going up against Trump? He looks like he's like somebody that's a little scaredy cat up on stage. He looks down, and then he starts pointing, and then he looks down. Like I don't know what he's doing.
He does do it. And the things. See, you mentioned the movements. Okay, what I see is you've got the right movements, but he also is always off half a beat. Like he's either still talking when you think he's finished, or he starts before you really hear him. He starts down here and then gets back up to some noun, and you go, "Oh my God, he's been talking." He's got a thing. It's ironic that he wants to be the leader of people. He looks very uncomfortable around people.
He needs to drop out and run for Senate in Texas. But Ed, I want to get quickly, and then we'll get into the debate. Back to the issue of surveillance. that's not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is for everybody. We need to start worrying about this issue because it's not only that. You see people hacking into all kinds of accounts, credit card companies.
You're into
and stuff. This is just,
you're into a big. No, you're into a big issue. Again, I hate to do this, but I just want to punctuate you for people, to follow along with us. Where they want to jump in, they follow this topic. This is a big topic, okay? Because
we'll talk about it. We can talk about it on Monday. But let's jump into the debates. The first debate, Ed, I want to know what you think. Bernie and Warren, it was like a WWE tag team. It was like Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker from Rush Hour 1 and 2 and 3. They were going out there. They were like a kung fu fighting team. One person, it was like a volleyball match. You throw the ball up, and Elizabeth Warren would spike it, or she'd throw it up, and Bernie would spike it. I'll tell you what, that debate, and what did you think about the progressives teaming up and just slapping these guys like, like Bullock? What the heck was he doing there, Ed? He spent a little too much time on his hair, and was like mumbling and stumbling.
Wow. Well, again, I love to be candid, and I love the way you ask it. So let me just smash this right out of the park.
Sure.
I love the performances. You, as an American, have to know what is in this booyah base. Because one is a chunk of andouille. It's not just sausage, baby. It's andouille. The next one is a delicious vegetable that you can't pronounce, but it is so good for you. I love this. Now, do I want any of this to happen? Of course not. But I grew up in New York City, and if you walk by Union Square, you will find people that since 1776, they've been there. They haven't stopped since the revolution, since the Fife and Drum Corps was performing live. They haven't stopped. Every day they got some. Now, Elizabeth Warren, let's go first because this is new. Look, we know Bernie is a titan. Bernie is a titan. If Trump is right, Bernie's going to go down like a titan. It's going to be a little sad the day he gets out. But Trump, I believe, is on to something. He missed his critical mass. He should have done what Trump does. He should have filed lawsuits against Hillary in every courthouse, every hour, on the hour. He should have gotten the lawyers from the George Bush election with Gore. He should have litigated then because he had those campuses were on fire for him. So he's still got enthusiasm, but it's going to be, we've seen the movie. The new one is Warren. And here's what's great about Elizabeth Warren if you're a conservative and a traditionalist. This is what you can do now. You can do what my grandpa used to do in the summertime on Morris Park Avenue. Get a folding chair, get something to drink, get a seat in the shade, and get ready to enjoy the show. It's going to be a great show. She bounces, bounces around with she hates everybody in the insurance business. She hates everybody on Wall Street. I guess she thinks nobody in the insurance business has an honest job at the reception desk. I guess no one at the insurance company is allowed to be a janitor either. What did all these people at the insurance company do that she wants to put them out of business? On top of banking, on top of Wall Street. So once she gets rid of Connecticut, once she gets rid of Westchester County and Orange County in California, once you remove who she doesn't like, I don't know, I guess we'll be bartering local honey for dinner. I hope you'll have yours in a jar.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Ed, I don't think Elizabeth Warren's got a shot at winning. And this is the reason why. And I think I've went through years with you and a couple of hosts on 105.9 too, is that the problem is Trump's got sleepy Joe Biden and he goes and takes money from Wall Street. Nothing will change. And he's with NAFTA and TPP. He'll lose. All right. Kamala Harris, the same thing. She's took about 25 different positions on Medicare for all. Trump will have a field day with that, and he'll have a field day with her having fundraisers with Hillary Clinton's fundraisers.
You got some.
Elizabeth
Hey,
Warren,
let's drill down. Drill down. You got some notes on Kamala Harris. I got some. I got some Kamala Harris for you. I'm going to give you something right off of what you said. You said it, but I want to just put a little fine touch on that.
Sure.
She gave the opposite impression of who she is, and she got away with it beautifully in that first debate. When she beat up Joe Biden, people went, "Oh my God, we love her." Problem, that's not who she is. If you see her now, you remember the Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason?
Yes.
Humana, Kamala Harris. Yeah, every time you hit her up. Oh, well, I'm against that. Oh, no, but I'm for it. Well, before it, I was against. And then when I was a prosecutor, yes, of course I locked them up. And now I'm smoking pot. And yes, I was laughing about it, but I didn't sell it, and I'm not a And it looks and the second thing is, during a debate, here's a real telltale. You're a young observer. You're like was it Robert Costa on that show MSNBC. He's a great reporter, but he's still young. It's his first couple go-arounds. So I'm going to give both of you guys a little insight here. When a candidate starts being challenged like Kamala was in this new debate, now we got to go poke her a little bit. And when she gets poked, she goes to recited language, like looking down at the podium and says, "Mr. Vice President, I think what you're saying is quite simply inaccurate." And it's a machine robotic. Now you know the first debate was a lucky jump shot in an NBA fourth quarter.
I agree. Well, Ed, I mean, you don't even have to talk about the honeymooners. You could just relate it to a politician, John Kerry. Look what he did against Bush. He was for the $87 billion. Then he's against the war. All right, then he was for it. So, I mean, that's the same thing in what Kamala Harris is doing with all of her positions. I totally agree with you. But this is where I disagree. And I know you're a Trump guy and stuff, but I think Bernie has the best chance out of any Democrat, and it's not because I'm a fan. It's just you got to look at the statistics. He can get the young people out. He's has the last 26 polls when they polled him against Trump. 25 of the 26, he beats Trump. He won Michigan in the primary last time. He won Wisconsin. He can get the white working class voters that went from Obama to Trump. So this is why Elizabeth Warren can't do that. Kamala Harris can't do that. Trump's going to rail against Warren with the Indian stuff.
Well,
she's not going to get away with that.
I love this. What you're saying, this is the way it should work. To me, what's got so much integrity about what you're saying, Trump has actually complimented Bernie's positions and his following for exactly the reasons you just exemplified. Okay, this is it's the way it's supposed to be. But we know better. We know, and Trump knows it, and this is why it's easy for him to relax about Bernie. He would love all of those throngs of campus kids that was the election, like him, Bernie with the kids. He'll take the adults because he would crush every time. And I love it also. Bernie is the only environment where change could really happen. Anybody but Bernie is going to be exactly what you've seen in the past. The reason I love Trump is he comes in ready for everything that's happened in the past. You can't shock him. There's no such thing with him. He doesn't believe in no such thing. Right.
I disagree because if you look at in 2016 when Trump came on the scene and Bernie was on the scene, you look at Trump in the general election against NAFTA, against TP. He wants to give health care for everybody. He wants to bring jobs back. Everything that I just said right there, that Trump said, was what Bernie ran on against Hillary. He was using Bernie's message. So he's going to use that. So Bernie against Trump, Bernie's the real deal, baby. So he's going to come in and say that, and I think it's going to be a different story. We disagree on that. But back to the debate, Ed, Bernie had these great one-liners.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So yeah, let's stay on Bernie. Exactly. He's a great entertainer. He's been in front of a microphone, I believe, since his 20s. Right? This is a guy his entire life knows. Look, he's great at knowing how people feel. There is a little bit of a disconnect that he would believe that a system that's never really prospered, socialism, even he's talking about a democratic, he wants that European style. It's not Russian, it's not communism, but they do so much that you can't get your autonomy back. You're not being told what toilet paper to use, but if they do decide there's a problem with toilet paper, you're not going to have anything to say about it. That's what's defeating about that joint. You know what I mean? If you can tolerate the way they're running it today, you're going to wind up one day saying, oh, my God, now they've gone too far. And you're going to be like, yeah, but that's it. There's only one way. And this is what they're all leaning toward on stage with their, basically, I don't want to jump on you. You continue, but I'm going to circle back to health care and Medicare in a moment. But go on. Go on. Yeah, go ahead.
That's what I was going to go into. But if we could just talk a little bit more. What I was going to talk about, and I'll hit on what you said, what you were going to, with the Medicare for All and the college for all and all this stuff. We've been trying the same old. We've had this healthcare system for so many years, and people are going in debt. People are dying. People aren't getting the correct care they need. And they say, oh, well, people are going to be upset because they're going to lose their health insurance, or they like their insurance. People don't like their health insurance. People like their doctors, their nurses. That's what people like, and Medicare for All is not going to change any of that. People are going to be able to keep their doctors and nurses. You know what I think, Ed? I think, and I'll let you talk right after this point, I think that Obama, when he came out with Obamacare and said everybody's going to be able to keep their doctors and stuff, he screwed it up by saying that when he knew that wasn't going to be true for Medicare for All, because people don't believe this stuff now because of Obama when he said that, Ed.
All right, I'm going to give it to you straight on this because it was said in public. So I love when these kind of points come out in a debate. These are my moments in a debate. The person saying this is not important, but how easy it is to see this blows my mind when people are talking about Medicare for All. And we are using, even toying with the idea of abandoning the private insurance people are familiar with. There may be something with the word private, but what they have now certainly is not going to be there with Bernie's kind of system. But here's the telltale sign. Do you know anyone on Medicare, by the way? Because even nephews and grandchildren do know this one little fun fact about Medicare. If grandpa's on, or you know anybody on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've heard this phrase, I know, because famous people all our lives go on TV, and what are they selling to the Medicare patient? They go on and say, Medicare only pays 80%, and you need Medicare supplement insurance. Right. Now, when you say Medicare for All, I forget who pointed this out on stage, no one has said who's going to write the rest of the business. Who's gonna be in the business of cuts and scrapes and stitches and broken bones and twisted necks and everything under the big 80? The point is not, I'm not asking you I'm not putting you on this. I'm saying, notice how no one's even recognized the logic. It was one of the business dudes. I don't know if it was Delaney or it was Montana, the Marlboro.
Bernie made Delaney and Bullock look silly. And then he made Tim Ryan look silly. He said, "Oh, how do you know that, Bernie?" Bernie said, "I wrote the damn bill." So those guys are a joke. They shouldn't even been on the stage.
Well, wait,
yeah,
but you got to remember. All right, yeah, but you got to remember our listeners. Don't leave the Ed Tyll 32-year listener behind. Because when you tell an Ed Tyll listener, it's crazy. I'm imagining all these people now. They're all perking up. Tell them, Ed. Don't worry. I got you. Everybody can sit down. They're coming at me. Say it. I'll say it. Yeah. To my good folks. Okay. The answer. I wrote the bill. A bill. A law is supposed to be an answer. My crowd thinks nothing. They haven't written a good law since Hammurabi's Code. There hasn't been a good law since the Bill of Rights. If this thing was written in the last 100 years, it's no good. So that answer is not going to be reassuring to people who are very skeptical. See, the reason I was going on this is the common ground on Trump and Bernie is revolution. There must be a revolution. The problem for us with Bernie, but why we enjoy him and Elizabeth Warren, is because they do benevolent, and you might be young enough to break this, even though you like Bernie. I think you're still going to be cautious of this. We don't want to have a benevolent belief in a bureaucracy. Those are the three B's. Three B's. But, can't have it. Yeah. So what we have on our team, the Ed Tyll listeners, we have an inborn hostility. So we immediately bark. We immediately diminish whatever their title is. And then we cautiously give them a chance to redeem. And then if they do redeem, we take you in the fold because a good person's a good person. But it's very unlikely that you're going to find humanity in the bureaucracy. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out go ahead.
No, I hear what you're saying about people are distrustful. I would be distrustful too. Obamacare was built on to be a great bill. It was a sellout to the insurance companies. There was no cost controls in the bill, and that's why the healthcare system is even out of control, even though it was out of control before Obamacare.
Right.
But here's the thing, Ed.
Yeah, tell me, what is the thing? Yeah, what's the thing?
Yeah, we saw this on the debate stage, the past. You can go with Trump, which is what we have now, dismantle Obamacare, and prices are going to go up even higher than they are now. We go with Joe Biden, all right? Joe Biden just wants to put the individual mandate now back in, which Trump got rid of. So he puts that in. We got 20 million uninsured right now. That drops it down to 10. So we still got 10 million people uninsured. All right, so that's still a problem. Or if you want to try something new with Medicare for all, I get people's distrust. But you know what? What can be? So you want to go for Obamacare and keep it what it is? You want to stay with Trump to get rid of Obamacare? And
look, here's the problem.
Or you want to go for Medicare for all and at least try the system out? And it's a phase. It's a phase in. It's Ed.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you, now that I pointed out, what just in basic logic sounds like the way to cover the 20% that it doesn't? What does that sound? Does it sound like you go, all right, so here's a kind of choice, right? I'll give you a choice. Is it the kind of thing where a new president would come in, Medicare for all, Bernie's in there, and then he says, look, I need Aetna and everybody who does insurance to meet me at the White House. We're going to have a big summit and say, look, here's the way this is going to be. I know you guys would have done it differently. There's a big fat 20%. Everybody needs it. You guys need to retool. You say to an insurance company, retool. How do they have to adjust the risk? Warren and Bernie, they hate throw the number of dollars. You know how much pharmaceutical company You understand that in order to be a great basketball player, you're going to make $20 million. If you want the best basketball player, you're going to have to pay $20 million. How do you expect to cure cancer without the most expensive drugs, without the most expensive? I don't know. But he's saying that that he's going to pull off better results than Canada. And Canada is smaller than us. We're a bigger challenge. We have more people with more expensive illness. This is a big deal. Now, if he were smooth and were saying, I'm not getting rid of Aetna, but they won't say that. They hate these insurance companies. I'm not sure that that's viable. I don't know that any profession in America needs to get annihilated. I mean, you want to reform insurance, but to keep saying they stole the money, this is insane. The money that these guys hate, right, that it's costing and the cost they wanted to go, is funding the apex of medicine in the history of mankind. Yeah.
No.
All right,
no.
so go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ed. No, not true. And what you said is the false choice, Ed. What the choice is there's no private insurance. Private insurance goes away, and people say all this stuff. Oh, well, people are going to lose their jobs.
Okay, but I want you to tell me then. Okay, I'll accept private insurance is going to go away. What will the incentive be to have an efficient, workable insurance market? This is going to be just best intentions of the government by memo. You don't need the profit motive to get this done. You don't need greed to get people to their desk at 6 a.m. and get these. This is be very risky to say we're all going to play Ring Around the Rosie and because we all love each other and it didn't work with the Department of Motor Vehicle. It does. We're not smooth putting in sewer pipes and traffic lights. Somebody mentioned the other day how many miles of road, how many millions of dollars in the state of Florida, and they were bragging, and the number was high because Florida was lower than, but it was an insane number. So God bless, again, anybody who's sincere in this. I know they've read a study, they saw some chart, they looked at a video, they saw a documentary. I get it, but I'm sorry. I have not been convinced in 60 plus years that without a profit motive, without rewarding executives, everything you guys don't like, with big money is why the bottom of the corporation will get the brown box to the correct address. If I could use Amazon simplistically to get the box to you. You want the insulin to get to you. And waiting 19 weeks. They're waiting in Canada. Everybody loves to say Canada, but everybody in Canada with money jumps down to Denver, jumps down to Chicago. If you saw the Toronto people at the dermatologist's office on Michigan Avenue, you'd know what I mean. They can't get enough of American medicine because they don't like ordinary. They don't want generic aspirin as the answer up there often. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you can't get insulin in the brown box, Ed, if you can't afford the insulin. And this goes back, if you remember a story about maybe a year or two back, Joe Manchin, Democratic senator from West Virginia, his daughter works for a medicine company that gets insulin, and they were charging over $1,000+. And I know you guys that are free market guys say, well, people need it, they're going to have to pay for it. And that's not what our country's about. That if you need something such as insulin, that's a life-saving device. If somebody doesn't have their insulin around and they have an allergic reaction, they die. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to take because it's profit motivated, we're going to get rid of it. That's a disgrace.
Listen, you can relax. I feel you, but you can relax. Your favorite president last night at the rally reminded people, he's taking credit for all of his stuff that the media won't cover. He's got these last year. Well, it's exactly for you. This is the moment of joy, right? You can now finally rest in tonight. You're going to sleep better. Donald Trump finally did something you want done. In 51 years of increases in drug pricing, last year, first year ever, they went down.
Yeah. Well,
second item is that, and you'll see if you approve of this. I'll put this on your desk and see if you can sign on. He's using the volume purchase approach of Sam's Club. of any of these discount warehouses, of Aldi's. Bring your own bags. Take it out of the he's using a volume purchase on behalf of government recipients of medicine. Isn't this, wouldn't you sing that song with him? What would you change about that? Volume purchase using, guess what he's demanding? He goes to the drug company now under his policy, and he says, you have to give us Mexico's price. And if you don't give us Mexico's price, we will buy from Mexico and subvert your price structure with us. You got to like that, no?
I hear you with that, but we'll see how true it is. We know at his rallies he exaggerates very much so at a lot of his rallies, so we'll see how true that is. I know that Bernie Sanders. Hey, I'm just telling you, Ed. I know that Bernie Sanders.
You are funny. You know the Rolling Stones hate that he uses their music, and he uses it at every rally. You see how he's good at this? He's got you going nuts now. Now he gives out a good idea. He deliberately puts out an idea that you like to mess with you so you won't be able to believe it. That's like telling you, oh, you're getting a free steak. You're getting a free steak. Then you go in there and they give you a steak bite, on a toothpick. And you go, but Trump said I'm getting a free steak. You are getting a free steak. You get a free bite of steak. He didn't say bite. He said a free steak. Hey, is that steak? Yes. Okay, I gotta go. That's it. So that's what I love. That's a very tempting idea to you, but like you said, how am I going to believe that? Look who said it, Barnum and Bailey, right? It's a.
Well, we'll see, Ed. All I'm saying is that Bernie Sanders, before the Detroit debate, Bernie took, and this wasn't some kind of stage event.
Right.
Bernie took over a bus full of people that needed insulin over to Canada and bought it at the price, and it was more than half where they paid less in Canada rather than in the United States. And this is not just a stunt. He had been doing this for over 20 years just to say how the prices are so high in this country rather than other countries, like even just over the border in Canada. So this is just, and if Trump does this, I will congratulate him on this. And if it's 100% true, I will. But I'm just saying that this, like I said, I play it fair. You know that.
Right.
So if he does it, I'll go with that. But he hasn't done anything as far as healthcare. He came out with this healthcare plan in 2017. McCain, I know, shut it down where he voted against Obamacare. They put out their plan. People were against it. He had the House and the Senate and the presidency. They couldn't get anything done. All right. And then in 2018, the Democrats had a big wave of over 40-plus seats because of that, because of the issue of health care. Because you know what? People are fed up with the prices that they have to pay for their medicine and for their premiums. And that's why over 80% of Democrats want Medicare for all, Ed. And then over 50% of Republicans, Ed, want Medicare for all. That's 50%.
Listen,
that's a majority.
I hear you. But I do. My gut says to me that the American people will not turn from a private insurance. I don't think they'll do it. I think there'd be an uproar. It would get stopped in the concept
Obamacare passed, Ed. Obamacare, and we all knew that.
But see what I mean?
Was gonna pass.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Right? It did. It totally did pass. Now it passed very narrowly, and it was a heartbreak summer of 09. Was it 08? Yeah, it was 09 summer. Where
09, yeah.
I was actually on the road doing comedy that 2 years in a row, and every city that me and Bob Bell went to, we'd see some nursing home or rehab joint where these people were sitting around the TV. They were scared to death. Every hearing that was on, was scrupulously covered. I mean, these people were terrified. And the point now fast forward, 10 years later, the brand Obamacare is banged up. I mean, even Biden's the only one who says the word, because, he owns it. How's he going to get around it? But none of the new, the other night, everybody's picking on Barack Obama. Yeah, because Barack Obama did a lot to try and not let the Trump people get all riled up. He tried to toss him a few bones along the way. He knew that he needed to look tough, and he knew that he needed to look a little bit conservative to balance off a lot of his liberal cachet. So now all of this crowd has legitimate bones to pick with him because he was deliberately trying to get other people to come on in. So to me, it's not surprising at all. But Biden, again, it's an anachronism. It's like when he says, here's the deal. Here's the deal was something David Letterman started saying, Jerry Seinfeld in 1989. 1991, people said, here's the deal. It's not the deal any. So it is out of sync, out of step, I think, to be talking about Obama. Build on Obamacare. When you got half a country that doesn't like something, you got to get it out of it. And what you should do is what American business always does. You innovate. You take Obamacare in there, you rip it to shreds, but you keep all the shreds on the workbench. And Trump has already given in on the biggest item that Obamacare succeeded on. Trump is still saying at a rally only last night, pre-existing conditions will be protected. So he's not saying we can't do it. A lot of his buddies say we can't do that. Say, there's your problem. When you opened up that can of worms, then you want a private business to service an open-ended liability. You got to be crazy. No business. So don't put the taxpayer in that position. The taxpayer is going to get we used to say in high school, the portuzurugul. He's going to get screwed, man. You know what? You ask one of your old Italian friends. Say, Ed Tyll said some expression today, the portuzurugul. Yeah, say, he says it's very bad. Oh, it's bad. It's almost as bad as Sine Vasolina. You might ask about that one too with your buddies.
Yeah, I will. And I'm Italian, so I got some around here, and I can ask them what the story is.
Yeah, because they'll tell you. They'll tell you when you say that, their eyes will pop open.
Okay, but Ed, I wanted to know what you thought. You unveiled with about Joe Biden. And this is the deal, and I'm going to hit on this.
Yeah. Is
that with Joe Biden, you brought it up, he's talking about Obamacare, and I agree with you. That Obamacare's done. I mean, it's got 48% approval. But you know what? There's nothing else better right now that anybody's got. So that's why it's got that approval. But with Joe Biden, I mean, you look at two debates with his performances, but not mediocre to bad. The first debate, he fell flat on his feet, as you stated earlier, against Kamala Harris with that attack. So he was flat on his feet there. But you got two bad performances, no excitement. And I've watched a lot of my news on YouTube, and people going to Biden rallies, Biden debate watch parties. There's like nobody there. People are leaving in the middle of the rally. So, Ed, and this is what I'm going to close with as far as Joe Biden, then we'll talk a little bit about Kamala, about this topic. With this, it's basically, and this is what I want to think, I want you to ask you rather. You look at Biden, it's almost like they're hiding him. Remember that when Hillary had her fall and they started hiding her away from the media? It's almost like, Ed, they're doing that with Joe Biden. You don't see him do any campaign rallies. When he does them, there's only like small venues.
Horrible. The first couple.
It's Hillary 2.0, Ed. It's Hillary 2.0.
I couldn't agree with you more. His opening rally was a high school auditorium, which could be good. He could wear it. That could come out very well. He was in front of a blank concrete wall. They didn't get the name of the school in there. They didn't get his back. And I couldn't believe it. And then, this is very pushy on my part, but this is what you want to win the highest office. They put him in front of a pale green wall. And he looked horrid. He looked ashen It was the worst I've ever seen. And that was about, like you just said, about 10 days, 2 weeks after the pizzeria announcement, which
Right.
was insanely underattended. I said to Dan Gaffney at the time, I said, Dan, you believe this? He's in Wilmington. He can't fill a pizzeria. It was a pizzeria. And then you looked outside the window and people were walking by like he wasn't in there. And that's his home turf. He's going to get eaten alive. Look, Trump would love to run against him. He doesn't hear well. He doesn't get the question. It made me feel the same bad feeling I had with Mueller. For all the stuff that Mueller was a tough guy, vindictive guy, a tight, by the book and Marine in your face. He was all these things. And then he was like an old lion on one of those shows on Wild Kingdom. The oldest lion. Yeah, well, many years ago. They tell very wistful. He's got the big mane. He just looks the flies. They land on his nose. He doesn't care anymore. The tail's like whatever. Years ago, he'd swat the fly,
Right, but I want to play this out to the people listening because I don't know. I watch, like I said, a lot of independent news, and I was watching a lot of people that were at the Detroit debate and out on the street and stuff like that. The Democratic establishment, and this is why I think they show all these polls with Bernie in second place. They put Warren in first, and Biden's in this and that, and all this stuff like that. It's that the establishment, and this is Sleepy Joe, he should go back to sleep, but he can't because the establishment, they've been jumping back and forth. It's Biden now. Then it was first it was Kamala Harris when she came out. Then it was Beto. Then it was Biden. So they're jumping from what candidate can beat Bernie. And you know what? In general, none of them can. We saw on the street, Ed, and you can comment on this too. CNN, they had people out with Bernie signs. When they're on TV and they're doing before, it's almost like college game day. Before they show the signs and then they go and talk on TV. They had the people with the Bernie signs. They had it under. They had Elizabeth Warren, and then they had some Biden people. The Bernie people were way to the right, out of the camera view, and they did it purposely. People were saying, and they put a big CNN sign in front of the Bernie people. So they're just trying to screw Bernie again, and this is why some Bernie people voted for Trump. So it's the same stuff going on with the DNC. That Bernie really should be the Democratic nominee. And if they screw him again, and they put one of these guys up, as I said, not just is Trump going to win, he's going to wallop whoever the candidate is really bad.
Well, it's interesting that you concluded your point with that because earlier in your point, that's what I think explains the institutional support for Biden. I mean, people in institutional politics, right? They've been in it every cycle. And they're Democratic donors, okay? They are the first ones, oh my God, long before you and I would even pick it up. They can see a dead duck. They can see the walking wounded. So I think they picked up on this with him long before his announcement. There was crosswind, headwinds for him before he announced. And I thought that was very telling for the hand that he was holding. Like if they already have a problem with this and he's holding, he's the only guy. Look, Trump won by 70,000 votes, a little more, and spread out in 3 states, so really tiny margins. So if you desperately want him out, it's 80,000 votes away. That's it.
Right.
Don't think about redoing anything. Last election plus 80,000, you beat this guy. Okay, so that's what I feel institutional people feel. They're like, hey, we're either going to pick up an extra 80,000 off of Biden, or we'd be stuck with one of these yahoos who will go down in flames and the party's on fire again. If Biden,
well, Ed, you just made the point. Sorry to interrupt.
If Biden loses, they're okay losing with Biden. They're not losing with the left. They're not losing with nut jobs. They're losing with the mainstream and it's a dignified loss, and there is no Trump number 3. So that's where I think the big money that would love to get rid of Trump, but they're only going to go. They're not going to put a bet on a Kamala Harris to get rid of a Donald Trump. And he'll eat her for lunch. There's nobody up there that Trump should be worried about. But what is the loyal opposition going to do? The big money. They're going to pick somebody. He's not going to go unopposed.
Yeah. You know, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you said that, I had to jump in and say, just like you said, 80,000 votes. They're not afraid to lose with Biden because he's establishment. But 80,000 votes, Ed, when he couldn't even draw, like you said, 25, 30 people at an announcement at a pizzeria in a Democratic area in his home state. I mean, come on.
I think that I agree. It jumped out at me. That was startling. Well, you know, a lot of people, myself included, right? I mean, fold into this remark that I'm about to share with you, that I'm in Delaware at the time, and he's really supposed to be on fire with popularity in Delaware. If you poll on him in Delaware, he comes out high. But that's what blew my mind. Where he polls high and is beloved, he's Uncle Joe, he's all these things. Right. He had no visible enthusiasm. Here's, to me, what their strategy is. If you lose with Biden, everybody who hates Trump will have more to settle up with in the next cycle. And then when it would normally change to Democrat, like it often changes party after a re-election 2 in a row, they would roar in and be able to undo all of Trump, fix Obama. Like, that's going to be their pitch. Then it could be a younger candidate. But I think Biden would have to fall on his sword, die on the battlefield of politics before they could sell that. If they go right to the liberal, like you said, they'll get murdered. He'll murder them, and then they'll be set way back for money and everything else.
We disagree there. I think if they go with Bernie, he'll beat Trump, but we disagree there. But what I'm saying about Biden is, if you put Biden on there, and if they do really cheat Bernie out of the nomination, because I am really about 99.9% sure he can win this nomination, him for sure. And if they do cheat him out, I'm going to tell you what, there is going to be Candace Owens, who's on Fox News sometimes. She said this too, but I don't believe what she said about black people. But what I think is going to happen with a black, white, Hispanic, whatever, is that there's going to be a real Dem exit. If they screw Bernie again, there is going to be a big Dem exit. And you talk about putting Joe Biden on the ballot, it's not going to be 80,000 votes because Trump will cream them. They're going to need tons of more votes because people are not going to go out and vote for Sleepy Joe. As you said, no enthusiasm. Vice President of the United States in your home state, and you can't draw more than like 20, 30, 40, 50 people. That's a joke, Ed. Come on, man.
I have no argument. Now, I wonder, maybe you heard this. If not, I'll share it with you, and you can react, sure. But maybe you heard. Michael Moore is on the other night, and he's the second guy who said this. Maybe this is music to your ears, the more I know what I'm about to tell you. He said, looked into the camera, and goes, here's the big problem Democrats have at this moment, and they got to fix it. Right. There is no Reagan Democrat left. The conservative Democrat who might come along with you because you're more humane, more kind, more decent. You wouldn't say the things that Trump said. He goes, that's a fiction. That's not in our party. He goes, we had that in 1965. He goes, we don't have that today. He goes, the only way to really summon the power of the Democratic Party, get the registration to match the outcome of the election, shouldn't be close at all. If everybody voted who's registered by party, it wouldn't ever be close. Democrats would win every single time going away, just the way it is in the country at large. There's exceptions. So he said the only way to get all those Democrats to vote that is you got to go hard left. He goes, you got to go free this, free that. It's got to be a stark choice. Either you're going to go with paying the man and the man stays in power, or we're taking down the man because he's the worst example of the man. If it's not, this guy is the biggest villain we're going to get from that team. If there was ever a way to unseat the team of ordinary capitalism and replace it with functioning social. So what do you think? This is Michael Moore, who wants it desperately, but he's a filmmaker. What the hell does he know? But he would say, I know a lot because my movies are popular with the American people. My movies sell. People know who I am. They know what I say. So whatever you want to say about me, ever since Roger and Me, which I think came out in the 80s, there you go. He's going to say, people. So what do you think about voices like his? Second guy, he's the famous showbiz type who said it. Another politician type said it the other day, but it was the same message. You gotta go and change who Democrats have been saying they are. What do you think of that?
Yeah, Roger and Me about GM. I do like his movies. They are pretty good. But as far as that goes, Ed, I agree we've got to go to the left, but definitely for sure. But I don't think I think it's more so of a Bernie left. I don't know exactly what he says. I know what you said. So I do think as far as if he means Medicare for all, free college, $15 minimum wage, I do agree.
Well, that's what he's saying. Now, see, that's the thing. Those are the items that you rattled off, right, that make that a hard sell. There's a lot of people in the country that are against all giveaways. You're going to start with that crowd, total libertarians. They don't want any of these programs. They're angry at everything we already have.
Medicare for all, Ed, I'm sorry. I have to stop you. Medicare for all is not a giveaway. I know people keep saying it's free health care. It's not. It's out of the tax dollars. We're taking that money. So, for instance, if you have a family of four, and maybe you pay $15,000 for health care, if with Medicare for all, that will cut. It's a tax cut of $5,000 with that. Instead of we would get rid of premiums and deductibles and copays. So it's not free. Nothing is free, as a lot of conservatives say. We're all paying into this, just like you pay into Social Security, you pay into Medicare. So a lot of this stuff isn't free. $15 an hour isn't free.
You got to go slow with that, right? Because as soon as you get more services with your new expensive diagnosis and you're guaranteed the treatment and the government's on the hook to the provider, you are getting free everything above the last nickel you put in. So if you put in $15K, but you need a $45,000 thingamajig in your heart from your, whatever, goodbye. We're on the hook.
Well, the people that are well off have to pay more in taxes, just like they should be. Just like, and we went through this in a call way back when on 105.9, when we talked about that people that are paying taxes, these guys are paying no taxes. They should be paying their fair share, and that's what will keep the tax system going good for people that need it.
I'm okay with the concept of what you're saying, right? In other words, it costs more to run the country. We're going to go to the top and get a. But here's, I think, beyond that, even if I grant that and say, okay, we're going to put that in place for you, which you're going to have a big argument on that too. But okay, I'm going to stipulate that you're not going to be able to in order to execute this healthcare system with the kind of variables that it brings. We just looked at the individual side, okay, which is a family puts in, like you exampled, say the family puts in $15K at the end of the year from premiums, and it should be, I'm sure it will be, right out of your paycheck, the way Social Security, right out of your check.
Right.
So that comes out, and you now have a medical treatment in excess of that amount of money. Once that is triggered, now the taxation side that you're going to get the rich people's money, you have no idea how much to really go get. Nobody does, because what happens tomorrow? Well, we have a new treatment. What does it do? Well, it keeps people alive. Oh, we have to have it. It's the most expensive ever. So you've never seen a number? No, we've never had anything that's $1.5 million a dose. You come in for 10 minutes.
That's why we're. Yeah. Well, you just said that Trump is negotiating all these drug prices, so we won't have stuff.
No.
$1.5 million.
No. Hold on. Now, frontier drugs have to be expensive. The drugs that he can reduce are your insulin and your routine treatments that are maintenance of your health. But the frontier is always going to be you got to get it broken through. That first, you got to get the breakthrough. Then you got to make.
They go to. Dad, we go into different countries and we negotiate. They negotiate on these other countries. They negotiate with their drug companies.
All I'm saying, but the problem is we don't want. We don't want another country's drug. Look. We don't want to be Somalia's drug company. We don't want this. We don't want that. We don't want to be South Africa's drug company competitor. We're the best. It's not even just pharmaceuticals. We're the best surgeons. We're the best laser guys. We're the best stem cell guys. You can't dilute the best. We've been. I'm sure you know this, but let me say it just to jog your memory. Any medical school in the world, no matter how remote from here, legit medical school, I'm not talking about crazy stuff, I'm talking about legit medical school, but far, far away, okay? That faculty is founded by an American. That faculty is founded by a British doctor. This is not universal around the globe. America and Britain and a little bit from France, but once you get past France, almost no breakthroughs. Yes, great doctors. Yes, great laboratories, but no breakthroughs. You need incredible amounts of money, and you need geniuses. You need only the one kid out of 1,000 students. The 0.001. Right. That's got to be driven by big money. You can't. Okay. You're not going to get. Yeah, go ahead. How are you going to have that happen without big money? How is that system going to happen without? Yeah, go ahead.
We went through the tax system already with the raising the taxes. And what about the military-industrial complex that Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, they all keep every year we raise the military up.
Well, that's the point. There you go.
Right. You hate
that. You hate that. You don't like that.
That's right.
Medicine, but medicine is the same as the military. Germs and it's identical every day. Excuse me.
We got so many nukes in this country, Ed. We could blow up the world about 800,000 times.
That's exact. You saw the report. If you saw what we built yesterday, we tested a non-nuclear weapon. Short range, does not destroy the water supply, kill 150,000 people in one moment. Specifically not doing that. But why are we doing it? Because the real estate in Eastern Europe is getting narrower, not broader. So your big weapon is not the answer for anybody over there. Everybody's got a nation state now. But if you have a 10-mile circle of the enemy, you got to have a weapon. So this is look. Here's the point about all of this is, right? What's America's challenge here? What do you want America to get accomplished here? You want America to be the best in medicine, and you want it to be the best in the military. Every day
we do print money too, Ed, by the way.
Every day a new germ. Every day a new military threat. No, I mean, am I wrong? I'm wrong. That there's not in other words, the idea.
Yes, because we create a lot of these threats.
Come on,
Ed.
man.
We create a lot. Come on.
It doesn't.
We created Al Qaeda.
Come on, what are you talking about? We have the right to stand up for Israel. We're not going to get punished for that. What's wrong with it?
Hold on. We created Al Qaeda.
We're a free country.
We were friends with Saddam Hussein. We took him out.
We're a free country. We stand up if anybody attacks us because of our alliances, of our alliance, Anybody who attacks us because of our alliance is morally wrong. I don't care what their reason is. They're morally wrong. They're 100% morally wrong. So it's a non-starter.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So and it's the end of that. So I don't know. So the idea is you can't blame us for creating Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda.
Well, we did.
Al-Qaeda,
We were the ones that put Osama bin Laden. We were funding them. The CIA.
So what's wrong with that? It was the right thing to do. He shot the
and
Russians.
Then they came back and bite us in the ass, and they made 9/11.
Oh,
so we were funding the enemy.
I don't understand. You can't defend your block with your neighbor, then your neighbor turns on you, and you're not going to shoot your neighbor in the head?
Fighting the
You got to
Soviets,
shoot.
not...
Look, you have a common enemy. You fight with somebody. When that is over, if the other person's your enemy, you shoot them. You don't keep them alive because you just fought with somebody.
We didn't do anything. They attacked us.
It's not about that. Wait, look, come on. The United States was naive and didn't realize he was close to the attack. I think that's Bush's fault, and it's Condoleezza's. All right, so, but that doesn't mean anything else except that it's nobody's fault but Al Qaeda for Al Qaeda. That's it. There's nobody made Al Qaeda.
Well, we were asleep. You just said we were asleep at the wheel on the Bush.
But that doesn't make Al Qaeda. That just means we're asleep at the wheel. The rapist is the rapist. You don't blame the security guard that got the woman raped. The security guard fell asleep, but the rapist goes to jail. What are you going to put the security guard in jail for rape? He fell asleep. He's a stupid idiot, but he's not a rapist. Yeah. I mean, come on. Look, they walked in on us. That's on Bush. The fact that they would take down buildings was not unknown to the CIA, but nobody in politics is going to listen to a CIA guy tell him the building's going to come and act first. That's the opposite of politics. Politics are always going to wait. They're never going to get ahead of, well, you know, we thought he was going to knock down 15 buildings. We did this. He didn't knock down anything. They saw us coming. Now I look like an idiot. So a politician's not going to get whispered in his ear and mobilize the jets, but they should. But they should have. All we had to do was, you probably already know this. We were doing a drill on 9/11. The new FAA guy was his first day on the job, and everybody was had a drill. So every person on 9/11 who was important had to ask, is this the drill? It's not the... So everything was perfect storm that day. But it's not... I don't blame those people. I can't say that some dopey guy at the FAA is why the building came down. The building came down. They wanted those... They had... Again, I'm sure if you don't know this, you'll have a fun watching it. There's something called the Bojinka plot. Bojinka. A bunch of crazy Arabs about 6 years before 9/11 went to an Asia, somewhere in Malaysia, Indonesia, some dangerous place. They went to a hotel, stayed for 2 days, and this lunatic explained how they were going to do 9/11 style with 7 different airports. And it was going to be all simultaneous. The planes. So this is years before the attack. We had a CIA informant outside the building, not in the room, but outside the building. I remember. Okay, so, all right. So that's the best you're going to get out of. Now, if you had a different president, if you had a president like Trump, and they walked in and they said, "This guy's thinking about doing this," Trump would say, "Where is he?" And they go, "Yeah, well, he's over." He goes, "Oh, blow up all 4 places, and if he's not dead, give me a call in an hour." That's all. I don't think we have any choice, right? He said this guy wants to do this. Oh, he wants to do it. Okay, well, just keep blowing up places until you find him dead. You call me. And I love when Obama came out, that night on TV, it was like a big day. He's like, geez, you got him how many years after? Like, it took this long to get him, and you're smiling. Like, if Obama would have come out and said, look, I don't even want to talk about it. We finally got him. We should have got him a lot faster. I'm going to kill a bunch more of these people now. Go back to watching TV. My job has just begun. I got to cut off.
Well, he didn't talk about it. They had the correspondence dinner when he was blasting Trump, which unfortunately made him run for president because of that.
That's right.
But he did keep it quiet during that. But my thing was, Ed, about what we were talking about was, yes, the CIA and these organizations, they're not really regulated. We don't really know what they're really doing. And the problem is that and this goes on in Venezuela and all, they have in Chile, they've had coups and stuff like that. We put these people in power, and then we go in there, we don't like what they're doing, and we go and take them out. So it is partially our fault, because the CIA, governmental agency that's unregulated, is putting these guys in power, putting up these puppets. They were trying to put up Guaido in Venezuela unsuccessfully, but it's all over Iraq. We got Saddam, we killed him, he was a bad guy. But you know what? Then they put in, it opens up, the Iraq war opens up this whole floodgates, because remember, Iraq was fighting against Iran. They hated each other. So then you talk about Iran, and we're against Iran. That war made Iran more powerful. It's true, Ed.
Well, I'm going to tell you this about Iran. Iran is not very powerful. And the reason you can know that is they are splitting a gizzard right now over the sanctions. And you got to really, for people that hate Trump, I think I try to find little nuggets of things that will put a smile on their face. You should love the way his critics always say, he's easy to get him going. Just say something he doesn't like and he goes nuts. So, he almost did exactly that with Iran. He almost took a big shot at them over the drone. But this is what should make you feel better. He realized, what are you doing? Just let them twist in the wind. They know they didn't kill anybody. They're doing it deliberately. If they know if they kill an American serviceman, it's goodbye, Charlie. And the world will be okay with it, because the world will see the dynamic and nobody allows an attack, right? Blah, blah, blah. But short of that, Iran has no power. Iran right now is suffering. It's like a cardiopulmonary disease for a country. It can't get oxygen. It can't get. The United States keeps making more oil. Iran is less and less important as a supplier of oil. And as you see, if they shut down the Straits of Hormuz, again, the international community will be on them in 2 seconds. Also, the British have been attacked by Iran in this little dance. Now they really have run out of cards, because had they not started this problem with the British, they would have an argument with Europe. Now Europe is not going to stand apart from Britain on this. Britain is like us when it comes to oil. We call the tune for the safety of the seas all over the globe, and we always will. So they're out of cards. I don't think they have power. And what are they going to do with a weapon if they have it? Who are they going to launch it at? Well, they're going to go.
They're going to launch it at Israel.
You think? Wait, they're going to march into Israel, and they would think that they're going to take
Israel?
No,
they wouldn't march in, but they would launch it. I really truly believe that.
And what will happen? What are you in your
and
honest?
then Israel would launch back, and then it would be a world war, and the whole world would probably end after that.
Oh, come on. Oh, you're selling.
You watch 2 nuclear weapons.
Listen, Wall Street has a lot of money invested in this world. They are not cashing in over Israel, Iran. That is not going to. No, here's what's really going to happen. If Iran triggers Israel, if they do trigger, Israel will go all in with the first shot. There will be no war. There won't be a war. It will be horrible, but Israel doesn't. Israel's been waiting for this. They thought in the 70s they were going to have to go all in. Just got to go all. Yeah. Now, they pulled back twice, the Israelis, because they do want the world to like them, and they really don't want to be the annihilator. But after Hitler, I believe Israel, the United Trump knows United States presidents can always take a chapter from Israel, because Israel lives in a rough neighborhood and we live in the richest suburb. We're like in the Beverly Hills of global Earth over here, and they're living like in South Central. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what I think is that if we actually thought about global warming and climate change, we wouldn't have to worry about Israel or Iran or Iraq or any of it, because we wouldn't have to worry about getting any oil from that. And that's why I believe that if Bernie wins, he needs to put, and I don't know who he's going to put for vice president, but if he wins, I think the correct pick is to put, and we didn't really talk about this person once, but I want to end on this, and I want to know what your comment is on this, is the person that's really gotten not a lot of media attention or coverage, Tulsi Gabbard as defense secretary. She served our great country for so many years, still in the National Guard, been in Congress for 8 years. She knows what war is. She wants to get rid of the military-industrial complex, which is why I believe she doesn't get a lot of time. But Ed, I mean, we saw Tulsi Gabbard even in the debate. She hit Kamala Harris so hard, I thought her head was going to fall off and spin. I mean, she vaporized her with the Sebelius thing where Kamala said, with the Medicare
all right.
law.
Okay, this tells you a lot. If that was, maybe that is vaporizing in Democratic circles. It looked like a friendly difference of opinion. And
Well, she got it pretty good, though, Ed.
No,
Kamala
you're
was
right. No,
fumbling
I'm not at all. No, I'm not criticizing the shot that was taken is fair and good. No, that was, but I don't know that Tulsi, who, as I said, is so great looking, like my dentist. She looks like my dentist, Dr. Reddy, who's always at the ready. She is technically correct on her attack, but I didn't feel any of the passion and the vaporization stuff I would have loved. If there was a vaporizing going on there, I would be with you with that. That's what they need. They don't have a vaporizer. They've tried. Cory Booker vaporizes no one. Every time he's like Aaron Judge when he's going to strike out. Aaron Judge does the most beautiful strikeouts. They're beautiful, but it's incredible how often it happens, and it's so frustrating because when he hits one, they go so far. So Cory Booker looks like Aaron Judge on an off week. He's like, every time he says something, it doesn't go on fire. Tulsi is not very fiery. It's interesting how you perceive her in that moment, because I thought she was trying to come off like a CEO disagreement, and not like an Ed Tyll or a Bernie or a Trump disagreement. We kind of burst our disagreements. She kind of said, well, what Senator Harris is saying here is not, and she actually locked up more people, and then she went on television and she's smoking pot, laughing about it. And I think my personal opinion is women love that. I think women went insane for that. Like, oh, my God, that's the way to go, sister. But what's the double-edged sword? You're beating up a chick. And right away, you're going to have some people go, come on, man. We finally got a woman who's throwing punches. Now we're going to start taking her down. She's got the goods. She's got a big mouth on her. She's got some experience. She's a minority. Let her rip. But, it's a competition. Tulsi Gabbard would like to be the president of the United States, right?
Well, I think she does, but I think she knows, as we've talked about, I think she would be a good defense secretary or Bernie's VP. I think that would be a good slot. Either one, I think defense
Well, isn't that, all right, now you said it, boy, you're a good mind, and you want to wrap up, too, so I'll give you a final question. Isn't the big ticket really Bernie and Warren? That's your ticket.
Yes.
There's your ticket. And even that, I don't think you're going to win. But at least it's kind of what I said earlier about Biden from a different vantage point, because Biden would never satisfy you. He's just not.
No.
Right. But you would get vindication of your agenda with the two of them are hustlers. Now, it is a problem that they're both, pure white on your team. Your team's going to be screaming for some kind of rainbow coalition there. And neither of them, I don't think either of them is gay. Isn't she married to a man?
Yeah.
So goodbye, Charlie. They're going to be nobody in the Stonewall Inn is going to be able to carry a poster for you. No, they will, because, there is a lack of picking on gays and trans and all that in socialism. Now that's on in the books, people are people. So look in Russia, they've been socialist forever, and they're anti-gay all over the place. So it didn't do any good over there.
Well, let me get this in, Ed, before we go. What I think, and this is the last thought I want from you, is first of all, I disagree. I think those two would be a dynamic duo, and they would go in there and they're two fighters, and they would go in there, kick butt. And even if they did for somehow reason lose, I agree with you, I would be satisfied. What Tulsi should have came back with when Kamala said, because remember, Kamala said in that exchange, I was AG and I would face some tough guys and this and that. Tulsi should have came back, and I think she's really trying to, like you said, look diplomatic, and she wants to look like a stateswoman. She almost looks like Nikki Haley, somewhat. If you look at her like that.
I think that's exactly. Boy, you're good. That's exactly what I think she's doing. Right.
But I think she should have said back, and this would have been like kind of a Trump hit back. All right, she should have said, you face Trump, tough hombres, or what Trump would have said. You face tough guys. I was over there serving in Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm the patriot. You never served, and you never faced under enemy fire, and you face tough guys, and then you say, give me a break, or something like that. Yeah. And that would have hit the floor.
Yep. I agree with you, and well, let's see. It's a good. I love a lot of things about her. Yeah. As you examine the process and where candidates come from. I mean, personally, the thing that she reminds me of.
She's the only Democrat that met with Trump, by the way, and they slammed her for that.
Oh, you're talking about Gabbard is the only. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. No, I have to hand you that point. Anybody who can pull that off today is, I think, you could distinguish yourself right now. She's not very good at presenting herself yet. She may have to get more succinct. And she may have to get more inflection in her voice up and down. She's got a little bit of that, the lady in human resources, kind of telling you what the policy is for lunch. So, but that's her. People will like that to some degree. It's not a huge turnoff, but this game she's playing with the people she's playing with, Cory Booker's, jumping off and everybody's all everybody wants their character to emerge. I hate all this. I hate all that language. You got to make your character emerge. You should be able to do what Trump did. All you do is take a look at the subject matter and think to yourself, all right, what do I think about Syria? It's not, I better look up Syria. You don't look up anything. You say, what do I think about Syria? What do I think? And then you go out there and you keep it. You don't reach. You don't start saying the population over. You don't do any of that. You just keep saying what you really think. She could do a better job at that. And Kamala, whichever, I think we're supposed to say Kamala, her thing, well, I'm okay with that. My name requires work. They look at it, they go Teal. So I get the name thing. But what I see in her that your team could love is she looks experienced at working the apparatus of government. Yeah. I think that works for Obama also. He was a state senator that even though it was short term, people granted that he was a bright guy. So he didn't need a long time. He got in that state Senate and figured it out. Got in the U.S. Senate, figured it out. So she's got the same thing where she's been. She does go way back in San Francisco politics, which again could be big for now. Of course, that's great to take us on because our team can't get enough of talking about San Francisco politics, right? If she starts owning San Francisco up there, we're going to have a ball on our team. But in fairness to her, that's where she made her bones. She did put, you don't have no problem with half the country on the crime bill. This is this is a global warming hoax they're starting now with the crime bill. The crime bill was necessary because Chris Matthews, of all people on MSNBC, brought this up in the spin room the other night after the debate. Anybody who lived and worked in New York City in 1979, 1980, 1981, you knew certain streets would get you knifed, stabbed, raped, and shot. That was it. And if you wanted to buy heroin or hard drugs, you knew where that was going on. And if you knew what block the prostitutes were on, they would stand out in the middle of the street. They weren't even hiding. So America was lawless. And people who pay a lot of money don't want lawless. So I don't think it was an attack on black people or any of this, the crime bill.
Well, what I want to say about Kamala is that, and you mentioned Cory Booker too. Kamala and Cory Booker, they're fake fighters. They're just a lot of fluff and no stuff. All right, so that's for both of them. All right, and with Kamala's got another thing, and you brought up San Francisco, and I actually just thought of this while you were talking. With the San Francisco politics that she's been involved in, remember, she had an affair with Willie Brown, who was the mayor, and who broke up his marriage. So that's going to be another thing that Trump could bring out in the election.
You know, and honestly, when I heard that, I went both ways. You know, part of it makes her hot and real. That's like, I get that. I always thought he was gay. So what really blew my mind was like, you know, did she like fake banging him, which helped him have a girlfriend? But then I said, well, it was San Francisco. He didn't need that. But it's fascinating that I thought he was right. So honestly, you could go both ways. When I heard that, I went, oh, my God. I'm thinking of her now on some couch on a Friday afternoon in Willie's office, and they're playing Al Green, and they're doing all that. You know, they're dancing, they're drinking Courvoisier, you know, they're laughing. She's running around half naked in the window. He's saying, get away from the window. Please. So I'm, you know, in a way, I thought it humanized her, but it does remind me of the people I went to law school with. They already knew what the path was to power and who they were going to clerk with. And she looks like that girl in law school. Oh, I know. Wait till I met with Willie Brown. I think I'm going to be with the majority leader of the state of Cal. Yeah, so she does have a player. But you know what? Then you can't go too hard on that because what about these little girls in TLC and poor Aaliyah? She died in a plane crash. It's not easy for them to. You got to go get it. Like wherever it is, you got to get it. Now, if you don't have the goods, we don't hear from you again. If you're TLC, Aaliyah, or Kamala Harris, if you don't have the goods, it'll be a one-shot Charlie. Goodbye. So right now, I think we're going to find out with her. I'm interested in whether she's durable or that was a one shot with her where she looked good with Biden.
Well, you could worry about that and say that she was just doing that to move up the ladder, kind of what you said, and just trying to move up that ladder. We also saw, remember, Gavin Newsom, another California guy, he cheated on his wife, who she worked for Fox News, and that was the same thing. They were on the couch, and he dialed the woman's number while he was having sex with his mistress. So another thing in San Francisco, California.
Is that politics, right? The governor of California butt dialed while he was having, and they let this guy run the state. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, if you're married and you're banging someone, you got to take the phone out of you can't be that lazy. I got to leave the phone.
Well, he was friends with Bill Clinton too, Ed. He's friends with Bill. They're close with the Clintons.
Yeah, you could just see the iPhone hanging out of his chinos, and you see the number is sitting right there, and then the phone hits, and then boom, the phone dials, and now he's like, do me, baby, and the wife is hearing the whole thing on the phone. It's going on the wife's voicemail. That's even better. It's a voicemail. Oh,
yeah.
God.
And I want to leave you with the last comment, all right? I know you like Tulsi mostly because of her looks, but what I'm worried about with you is that when you go into that dentist chair again, instead of saying Dr. Reedy or whatever her name is, you slip up and say, Tulsi, can you look at my teeth over here? That's what I'm worried about.
I honestly, I think she looks so good in white. When she was wearing that, I was like, oh my God, I could see her in a lab coat. And, I would say to her, just the lab coat. Don't wear anything else. Just put on that lab coat and just walk in, babe. Yeah.
All right, and I appreciate you.
And then I get a little, I get that sitar music playing in the background like that George Harrison. Ding,
They play that smooth music. Yeah.
ding, 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 ding. Oh, belly dancing my way into the future. All right, it's always a pleasure, Rob. Have a great. By the way, one more time, people want to see you and chat with you and listen to what you have to say. Conversations with Rob is the channel on YouTube. Number one.
Correct.
Number two, Rob is going to be in attendance at the next Democratic debate in what city? Houston?
Yes, it's in Texas.
It's in Texas, right? Houston is still in.
Yes.
Well, Houston may be in Mexico if it keeps flooding. If it keeps flooding, the Rio Grande is going to come back to Houston, and it's not going to be good. So, a safe travel. We'll have you. I think this next one, we're going to give you some custom airtime where I'm going to have some programming revolve around your arrival schedule, etc. But then in the future, maybe you and I will hook up at an event and we'll broadcast live at an event with the Ed Tyll tent and the Ed Tyll flags, the Ed Tyll merchant. We might have to bring out the whole road show. So you got me thinking about that today.
Yeah, sounds good. And definitely, I really enjoy your program, Ed. And, I've liked you for a while, and I love the arguments. And I hope to see you soon, whether it's in Florida, Texas, anywhere around the country. I want to see one of those comedy shows soon, so definitely keep
you know
me
what? I got one.
check.
I got a couple for you. So I will have, next time we talk, I'll have two for you.
Grew up working class in a place they call the Bronx. Learned on the corner about the school of hard knocks. Found out his rap could be his salvation. Well, now he's